I never thought I'd be telling a story about catching my HOA president trying to break into my house, but here we are, and honestly, if you ever needed proof that truth is stranger than fiction, this is it. Picture this. A Friday night, my 16-year-old son Marcus is home alone, sprawled out on the living room rug with algebra books everywhere, when suddenly he hears the unmistakable sound of someone fiddling with the front door lock. Not knocking, not ringing the bell, but the cold metallic scrape of a key, one that sure as hell wasn't supposed to work on our house. Marcus freezes. He's not some nervous kid, but he's only been living in Willowbrook Estates for 3 months, and let's just say the move from city life to suburban paradise has been rough on all of us. His dad's business was barely keeping its head above water. I'd been flying back and forth to help my mom in Ohio, and Marcus, well, he'd been quieter than usual, spending his afternoons trying to figure out if the quiet out here was peaceful or just plain creepy. We'd bought into this whole gated community, perfect lawns, neighbors waving while jogging, a promise of safety and order. You know the spiel. The realtor talked up the HOA like it was a neighborhood welcoming committee, but left out the part where the place was run by Karen Middleton, a woman who could spot an unapproved mailbox color from 200 yards. That first week, I came out to a formal violation notice tucked under my windshield. Apparently, the previous owners had painted the mailbox a shade of blue, one Pantone off the approved palette. Karen's signature sprawled across the bottom, plus a line about a $50 daily fine. So we painted the thing a bland beige, thinking we'd paid our dues and could get on with our lives. Nope. From then on, Marcus would catch Karen lingering near our yard, snapping photos of our grass mailbox, even our car, always with this stiff little smile that said, "I'm just looking out for the community," but felt a lot more like, "Try me." She even watched Marcus at the bus stop, her face half hidden behind those gauzy front curtains. The weekend. This all went sideways. I was back in Ohio for a funeral. David was in Chicago trying to land a client, and Marcus, for the first time, had the house to himself. He ordered pizza, finished his homework, and was about to start a movie when the door handle rattled. Not once, twice, 3 times. He crept to the peephole, and there she was, Karen Middleton, HOA president, hunched over our door like she owned the place, jamming a key into the lock and cursing under her breath when it didn't fit. She had no idea anyone was home, and even less that Marcus was quietly filming her through the peephole. Let me tell you that kid's got more sense than half the adults I know. Instead of panicking, he sent me and David the video, checked every lock in the house, and waited in the dark, phone in hand. Meanwhile, Karen gave up after a few tries and vanished down the sidewalk, glancing over her shoulder like she was just out for a midnight stroll. You know what I mean? That look people get when they know they're up to no good but hope no one noticed. By the time David got the video, he was calling lawyers and the local police from his hotel room. But Marcus, this is the twist. He went a different route. See, almost every neighbor in Willowbrook was on this Facebook group. The kind where people post about suspicious vans or whose dog pooped where. Marcus made an anonymous account and posted the video with the caption, "Guess who has a key to your house?" It went viral before sunrise. Comments started piling up. Folks outraged, confused, some defending Karen, most wanting answers. A few brave souls admitted they'd noticed things off too. Items moved, doors unlocked, a missing necklace or two. The police opened an investigation, and before the weekend was out, a handful of families were telling stories about finding Karen nosing around their yards or even spotting her car in their driveway when they weren't home. That following Thursday, the board called an emergency meeting. The community center was packed, the air thick with anger and embarrassment. Marcus stood up, laptop in hand, played the video for the whole room, and you could feel the shock ripple through the crowd. Karen tried to spin some nonsense about checking on the house for safety, said she'd gotten reports of suspicious activity. But one by one, neighbors stood up telling stories about things missing, doors unlocked, Karen's car parked in driveways when nobody was home. The evidence was too much. The board voted unanimously to strip Karen of her title change, all the locks, and banned the keeping of any master key by a single board member. That alone was satisfying, but the real kicker, the police found a stash of missing jewelry in Karen's house, plus a creepy notebook full of schedules and sketches of neighbors' homes. She'd kept records of who left for work when photos of living rooms and valuables, even notes about which families traveled the most. Marcus, who started out just wanting to survive high school, was suddenly the hero of Willowbrook. News crews showed up. Parents brought their kids by to shake his hand. The board president resigned. Karen's husband filed for divorce, and their house sold in record time. The new board, led by Mrs. Rodriguez, a retired principal who actually cared about people, through a neighborhood barbecue, started a youth advisory committee, even set up a scholarship in honor of kids who made a difference. But it wasn't all easy. Marcus got hit with anxiety, sleepless nights, the kind of attention no teenager really wants. Reporters called, podcasts wanted his story. Even book publishers sent letters. For a while he spoke at schools about standing up for what's right, but he never tried to be a hero. He told other kids the truth, that it was scary that adults mess up too, and that sometimes doing the right thing means making yourself a target. Other teens reached out. A girl in 8th grade told him about reporting a creepy substitute teacher after hearing his story. A kid in Oregon exposed a teacher for crossing the line. A student in Texas called out a youth pastor stealing from the church. The ripple kept going. Through it all, Marcus stayed grounded, played soccer, hung out with friends, tried not to let the label youth advocate swallow his life. But he also helped start a peer mediation group at school, and slowly the culture in Willowbrook shifted. People showed up to meetings, actually cared about the rules, supported each other. The old way of HOA bullies, scaring everyone into silence, gone. The new way, neighbors looking out for each other, teenagers having a real say, took root. And in the middle of all this, Marcus started thinking about college, maybe law, maybe public policy. His essays didn't focus on being a victim, but on what he learned about leadership, accountability, and what it means to have integrity. Universities offered scholarships, not because he'd survived something, but because he'd changed his whole neighborhood for the better. The year after it all happened, at the community center where Karen was ousted, Mrs. Rodriguez handed Marcus a plaque and thanked him, but she made it clear the change came from everyone. And honestly, that's how it felt. The peephole is still in our front door, a silent little witness. Sometimes Marcus looks through it just out of habit, and I wonder if he's thinking about that night. But it's more than a piece of glass now, it's a symbol. Of paying attention, of standing up, and of not letting bullies get away with it just because they have a title or a set of keys. Karen Middleton thought she could control the neighborhood with intimidation and secrecy. She thought nobody would ever dare to speak up. She was wrong. And if you ask me, that's the part that matters most. So tell me, where do you draw the line between authority and abuse? Who would you trust with a key to your home? Share your thoughts below, because sometimes real justice starts with just one person saying enough.